in your English classroom for like the past 4 or 5 years. I don't know the rest of you, but I was thinking hard about growing success and trying to figure out how can I actually incorporate this. And I was pulling my hair out and trying to find different ways of getting at it. So actually was lucky to get a grant to kind of look at different things and research with a partner at my teaching partner at my school. And we played with some number of tools and settled on a tool called Markboard, which is from a company called chalk.com. They're actually based here in KW, not why I chose them. It just sounded like the best one for us. The slide deck, you guys share the slide deck with them, so it's in there, so don't worry about any link there. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because there's actually a big overarching thing, but I just want to highlight the things I was trying to get at and how we got at them. And there's a lot to the tool, which kind of really why we liked it was like it connected a lot of things together around triangulation. And so this is kind of what I was starting off and trying to think about, like, how do I really leverage true learning out of my students? I was very product focused in my practice for a very long time, and observation conversation was something off the top of my head. When it came to reporting time from my students and that mark, it was just kind of like, well, I think I remember this or I saw this. So when it came to professional judgment, it wasn't something I felt great about doing, and that was something I was trying to fix in my practice. And so when I was thinking about this, I was like, what am I really trying to assess? It was like types of assessments for a while. As an English teacher, I was like, no, I'm trying to focus more on skills. Started looking more deeply at the curriculum, overall expectations, and then our boards recently shifted to essential learnings, trying to focus more in that space. And then the other thing was like the spiraling piece. How do I give my students multiple opportunities to show that? And when I was looking at my grade book, I was like, well, I have a few marks here, a few marks here. I felt like this isn't really the best way. I saw a lot more in my class. My students were showing me they're learning a lot of different ways, but that wasn't necessarily reflected in my mark book with the products I had for them. So I was trying to think about how do I get that? And then the other piece, and it was like, like I said, when it comes to assessment, there's so many things going on, and they all kind of connect back to triangulation. As this thing, look, am I just coming in an average at the end of my assessments for my students, and how am I spiraling my pieces? Am I giving my students multiple opportunities to show their learning correct? And triangulation was actually a great way to get that. I thought my products didn't necessarily do a great job, but that did. And like I said, I was trying to get away from that averaging piece and just like having the numbers. Here's my numbers in my grade book. This is what it filters out to. Here's what the number says in the mark book or grade book that I was using, and trying to get more of that professional judgment piece through triangulation. And then, so one thing that's, I actually love this, like I hear this from my students all the time, who's familiar with this question, students like, is this worth marks? Yeah, and I hated that question, because it was kind of like really saying, like, is this valuable? Is this important? And one of the things I loved when I was playing with triangulation more was, the answer was like always yes this time now, because I'm always observing you as you're doing in class, and if we're having a conversation, that is part of how I'm assessing you. If I observe you doing something in class, that is part of how I'm assessing you. So having that conversation with students about how you're triangulating your assessments, and it's not just the weighting of this assignment, what it's worth and the number I get on it, but it's what do I see from you in class. And that really kind of changed the dynamic and culture of my classroom, is talking about triangulation a lot more with my students, and then realizing that, hey, everything we're doing every day is important, and even if I tank the test, but I show some great learning here another way, that can inform my mark as a student. Okay, so all that being said, that's sort of a giant philosophical conversation around assessment there, and I'm trying to get at it. But that's really like the things I was dealing with the past 4 or 5 years, and so I settled on a tool called Markboard to try and help me deal with all that and kind of make that workflow much more simple and easy. One thing I want to highlight right off the bat, and just not to be over the head, have you guys talked about this at all in the board's policy around third-party apps? Has this been part of your conversation yet?
No, it would be great.
Okay, so really quickly, it's linked out here. This came out actually over the summer from the board, their guidelines. Our board's actually really good about allowing teachers and students to use outside tools. But you want to be very careful with student data privacy. This is going to be a big focus for the Ministry of Education right now. And so the very quick basic guidelines, one, if it's just for you, so Markboard has it set up right now as a free account, not as a paid version. You're welcome to use everything I'm showing you is free here for teachers. It's more teacher focused, okay? There's not an account for your students. If you're asking your students to create an account for something, you need to go through it down. You need to actually, as a teacher, look at the privacy policy and understand. The biggest issue that pops up most of the times is a lot of user policies, even if it seems like for your very young people, it's a 13 plus. And so as a teacher, if you're telling your kids to go create an account for something that's supposed to be a 13 plus app, as an example, you're crossing the line there. So you're asking students to create an account. There is a form tied to this link for parent permission. I would say send that one home. The one I'm showing you here for Markboard, you don't need to worry about that space. If it's something for you personally, an app that you're using to track assessments for your students, and using a third-party app, it's kind of a few basic things. One, you should keep the students anonymous. The board recommends using first and last initials for the students, so you can see their initials, you know who you're talking about. You should not be putting a student's full name in. If you're doing things like taking pictures or video, then you should not see a student face in it. It's really by default. If you're going to be using a student image where they're actually identifiable, then you need parent permission to go down that road for those two. So basically, if you're keeping student data anonymous by initials and not having their face being shown, you're pretty safe and clear. Okay? It's only 2 pages, so I'd say it's worthwhile if you're using any third-party apps, just to cover yourselves and be aware of what you're doing and making sure you're following board procedures. I would check out that document. And the parent permission form, if you're going outside of that, is linked on there too as well. Any other questions with that, since you have time to put it? Yes?
Yeah, so you just said like 13 plus. If we're all teaching secondary, we still need to send them home if their kids are 13 or older?
So that, again, that's just one piece of is the common violation with that teachers get into with privacy policy. You're responsible. If you're asking the students to create an account for something, you're taking that on. You should read the privacy policy. A lot of times it will ask for parent permission. If it does ask for parent permission, you need to go get that. Otherwise, you're kind of telling your students to violate that user policy, not just something to be aware of for us. Okay, so Markboard, I've got a bunch of screenshots to just help people after the fact to come back and look at the slide. I'm going to fly through this very quickly. This is a bad teaching pedagogy to go this fast. They said like you got 15 minutes to do this, and I wanted to share a fair bit with you. It's pretty user-friendly and intuitive, so I thought I'm just going to highlight what it can do, and if it sparks some interest for you, you can come back and look at it after the fact on your own. So the screenshots are in there. Really quickly, this would be just kind of homepage. You can kind of create your assessments. There's a video intro that they put together here to like have first setup. So I thought like, hey, I'm gonna go too quickly here. If you're interested, you can come back and watch this on your own time to kind of get at it. From a setup standpoint, it's pretty quick and easy. Create a semester, create your classes, add students. Again, if you're going through, you should be using first and last initials, not full names. And then you can go into curriculum settings, create your assessment categories, so how you track and assessing your students. You're looking at essential learnings, the ratings tied to that. Class screen looks like that. That would be kind of setting up your categories. So for me, as a high school English teacher, the way I broke this down was I took my 70%, I took my 4 strands as my essential learnings, weighted them evenly, and then did the same thing for my 30% summative. Past that. And then one thing that I really love about Markboard, it has all of the Ontario curriculum built into it already. So it's very quick and easy to track and assess by the Ontario curriculum. So it's filtering them very nicely to my essential learnings, which were based on the overall expectations. And then it allows you to kind of track and get insights into how your class is performing by the overall expectations, or if you're crazy and want to track by the specific expectations, you can do that as well. Wouldn't recommend that for anyone looking at just like 8 or 9 day course. So I was looking at tracking by the overall, and so I'll show you what it looks like in a sec, but I can go and assess by them, tag off the Ontario curriculum, and then as I'm putting levels in off of that, it gives me automatically data on kind of like the green bar here is people at 70% or higher, so meeting the provincial standard. The orange bar here would be students kind of falling into that 50 to 69 range, and so I did a lot of like target instruction off this. I could see the data in my class. So okay, so for 82 years overall, going through my class, kids have at least met that overall the provincial standard. And I use some target instruction to pull these 6 over here to say, hey, this is something I need to see more demonstration of for you. Let's sit down and work on this together, kind of come back to this. Okay. You can also get insights on specific student then by the overalls, so I can see how that student's performing. If I clicked on this here, it would open up and see the 4 or 5 times I assessed in 3, and kind of give me that data on that, and how they're progressing. Are they improving over time? Looking at that most recent, most consistent piece. If you want to see what that looks like, again, I just embedded video here on your own time if you want to go back and watch and see what that looks like. And then getting at a student profile here, I know we're talking about triangulation, coming back to actually student conversations piece very soon, what that looks like. And just kind of a few there. So what I really want to get at to here is actually showing what this looks like live too. Sorry for the base class here. So if I jump into my course, if you click on settings, base this where you can go and create assessment categories and what you're tracking off of here. Again, set up whatever you want, good place to put your essential learnings. If I click the plus button, so you can do it as a score, binary, a rubric, or make an observation here on the web. Just really quick from the assessment piece, it'll make sense going back to triangulation. I usually track by scores. My rubrics I was using through Google Classroom, so I'd highlight and build a rubric for the students, because again, this is just for you. It's not student access to this. I would do a rubric through Google Docs, give that back to the student, and this is how I was tracking my assessment for my students for my professional judgment. So off this, you can put a title, let's go, If I click on standards then, I've tagged off standards, so I've added the grade 9 Ontario Academic English curriculum to this. It's built in there. I just a couple clicks, and then I can see the full curriculum here. So I'm looking at assessments. I'm looking at A1 here and A2 from the oral communication curriculum. I could add that and we cancel this out. But that would how you create assessments. So an example here, if I click on this one, this is just a dummy account I've created. So you can see I've got my students in my class, and I put levels off. If I click on student A here as an example, I can see A1, A2. I can kind of just put in a level off of this, what I'm looking at by those two overall expectations. And then so for me, like these two overalls filter into my oral communication essential learning. And so then I would level that based on looking at, I've got my tracking for the two overalls. This filters into my essential learning. Here's my level for my students. Okay. That's really good base there. If I click on an older class, I've got more to go for. Click on insights then, this was talking about like tracking by the curriculum. So you can see here all my overall expectations for my course, how my students are performing on it. If I go to writing, for example, C2 here, I can see my students in my class and where their averages are on those overall expectations throughout the semester. And if I click on one, I can see the data for them personally. I can filter this out too and say average of the last 18 assessments. You can use average of the last 2 times. You want to get the most recent, most consistent by that tracking. Now, that was all nothing to do with observation conversations. Coming back to this course, if you click on the plus button, you can create an observation on the web here. Basically, it's just a text box or an upload file. But where I got really geeky about Markboard and why I like the observation conversation piece is that it's app-based. So I'm going to try this here. Got the HTML. Always the last place to look. Okay, so for iOS or Android, this is why I was really geeking with the observation conversation piece. So in the bottom right, you see the green M, it's the Markboard app. I jump into it here. Oh, really? Let's go logged out. Just going to pull it out there, just not sure you. There we go. All right, so I'm going to jump in the app. I guess this is the class I was just showing, the smaller classes, like the 4 students in it. So what I can do with this app, I can see my assessments there and how I'm tracking students. If you look at the plus button down the bottom right, if I click plus, what this allows me to do now is I can take a note very quickly here. I can record an audio conversation, I can record video, I can snap a picture of student work. And so an example, in the English class, I might sit down with my students and talk to them about the writing process. So as I sat down with my student, I just pop my phone down, I click audio and record. And so right now it's just recording this conversation I'm having with my students and kind of looking at their process, what they're going through. So when I click done here, pause, done. What it allows me to do is then tag off the students I'm having that conversation with. And so if say I was having a group novel conversation with students and down like looking at 4 of them, I can actually tag off all 4 students at once, and that recording goes to each of their individual profiles for that student. So then looking at actually documenting that conversation I had. So I've got those 4 tags, and then I can type in some notes tied to that for what this was about, and go save, and then that would get added to their profile. Same thing, delete out of this. If I want to snap a picture, example, so in math class, I want to look at the work my students are doing, the process they've been going through, they've been working on pen and paper, and I want to document that learning with them. I can just go and snap a quick photo. Same thing, use photo, it's the exact same process, tag it to that student, and that image of their work then goes to their student profile along with their mark. And so what I really liked about this was, again, that conversation piece. I can actually have that conversation, have an actual recording of it, have some notes on it, and then it's in one space with their assessments and tagged off the curriculum. The other space too, and that'd be like more the informal piece, just me walking around through the classroom, The other piece I really liked, so say if I go to like speech here as an assessment, I've got a student in here already. Again, if I was to sit down and make it a bit more formal and planned observation or conversation, like something I actually want to assess and track with the students, again, if I click on audio here and want to record this conversation, say I gave some students something to read, I said I'm going to sit down with you and conference with you just for a minute, I'm looking at reading for me here, so tell me what you pulled out of the text, what was your understanding of it. I've got the recording of that conversation, done, and then what I can do here, if you see in level, I can actually scroll through the levels across the top here, so I can say tag us off, this was a level 3 demonstration, this was a level 2 minus, so this is a 4 plus. You can set up your own categories by levels. I use the peg marks from the AR document, or copy the number there too. So I can say, okay, I sat down with this kid, I listened to them speak, I've got a recording of what they said about this, and that was a level 3 demonstration. So I can just tag off level 3, and then that's gone and added to their mark under that essential learning of oral communication. You can see it tagged off the top there. Again, I think there's a question again. Any quick questions related to this, or I think it's something I missed? I know I threw a lot at you just quick. Again, I think it was just, here's something I use. I really liked it because, again, if I jump back into the web-based version here. So I went to a student, and it came to reporting time for me. I jump on a student here from an old semester. I had everything in place. So this observation here was actually on an iPad and some running PDF, and you save their profile. I can go through and scroll through, you see their, oh, not yet for you. Okay, so if I click on a student profile here, I've got this PDF observation I added to the profile, which is on the iPad doing some writing with Apple Pencil. I can see their marks throughout the semester and kind of scroll through those. This one I was actually, this is older before I had the app recording the conversation. This is me having a conference with the student, me just typing out what I was observing from them and adding that to their profile. I tie it to the mark here. This is an image they did a presentation to Teacher Youth Forum, actually snap this picture, tag the whole class with this and add it to her profile there. You can have video again. And so you can also then filter out by your essential learning. So if I want to look at just the student's writing, I can see I have like 3 summative marks I have in here. You'll notice where it says omitted. So I click on this, I can see this was actually a 60 for the student. And so what I did here, so I had like the 68 and the 62. This 60 really wasn't representative of that essential learning for the student. And so when I clicked on it here, and then just tagged off omit, basically what it does is it recalculates that category for that essential learning without that mark. And so this really helped me kind of get at feeling confident with my professional judgment, like how does the math change? This is not the most recent consistent. I can remove it, and then for that final mark over here, it would kind of calculate that mark for me and help me feel a bit better about that piece. Okay. All right. I hope that was somewhat helpful and interesting. I'll leave it there, and you've got 2 other people who are great at this too, so I'll pass it off. Yeah.
Can you just show how you can turn it into the level so you can use that narrative for the student?
Sure.
That was something.
So click on your settings here. The basic just like you create in your essential learnings, your weighting categories here instead of weightings for them. If you scroll down, you can see my scale level and click on manage scales. You can create whatever scale, whatever system you want. So I just put levels here, and I've got the 4 plus, level 4, blah, 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 3 minus, 3 plus, but you can create it as whatever you want. Okay.
So just out of curiosity, is there any way to omit a mark in grade book the same way you just did, where you
Absolutely.
still keep it?
Totally.